Welcome back everyone to my channel, and thank you so much for tuning in. Today I have another Manhattan run for you, but if you may notice something a little different about the footage this week, and that's because I have a new mount for my camera. In the past I've been running with like a GoPro that's like mounted on my chest, and that's why I was having a lot of like motion from left to right, obviously because you're twisting your shoulders and your hips while you're running. And I figured I would try this like head mount. So I went out and bought one, and I think the footage came out like way better. I like this filming way more than I would than the older chest mount solution. I will say it's not 100% perfect because it being on my head, I do feel the extra weight of having the camera on my head. It's not terrible. Actually, for the longer runs, eventually, like I had two periods where like I didn't notice it a lot at the beginning, and then in the middle I noticed it a lot, and then like near the end of the race or the run, when I was getting a little more tired, I completely forgot about it again. So I think I'll get used to it more over time. Also, kind of unfortunate thing about it, it was kind of hard to tell when the camera was like set level. So like some of this footage was like filmed and my hat was like completely like tilted to one side, so I had to fix the footage in post. But that's such like a small minor thing that like overall I think the footage being so much more clear is like way worth the payout of having it mounted on my head. But overall I think the camera mount being on my head is just way better. The footage looks great. I'm way more excited to be testing this out. So I will be wearing this mount for my head, and you also capture a lot more of me looking around, which I think is a really cool concept. So yeah, we'll see how this goes from now on. So about the run itself, so there wasn't anything particularly interesting or exciting about my performance for this run. Pretty standard as far as I'm concerned. Definitely not my fastest and definitely not my slowest. But for the run, I basically ran up 5th from about 40th Street to about 128th Street, all on 5th. And I basically, so I ran up to the Collyer Brothers Park up there in Harlem. And I'll go into more in depth of like why I ran up there and a little bit of history about that park, because it's kind of very interesting. It's kind of like a weird story. I figured I'd talk about that in the second half of the video. But yeah, it was about 10 miles in total, and I ran it in about a little under 2 hours. I was averaging about 11 minutes and 30 seconds per mile for that run. And yeah, like I said, it was kind of standard. So I kind of started out feeling great flying for the first couple miles. At least I felt like I was flying. And then of course, I hit some hills in the park area, and it kind of really drained a lot of energy out of me for those hills. I was basically crawling at that point. But luckily, near like the last like 3 miles ish, I hit some downhills on my way back, and I was really surprised of how much that energized me. And I was able to finish those last few miles pretty average as far as I'm concerned. So overall, like it wasn't my best run, but it wasn't my worst. I felt like it had some really good promise on the way I finished it. But then still more concerns about how much the hills are draining me. Especially like longer, like super steep hills aren't the worst for me, but like long, slow hills, those kill me. Before I talk about the Collyer Brothers Park, I want to give a quick shout out and a reminder to the amazing organization and the reason why I'm running and training for this marathon. And that's New York Roadrunners and their Team for Kids initiative. NYRR is more than just a race organizer. They motivate young people, teach discipline, and support healthy and free fitness initiatives. Our trek today does more than just cover miles. It advances our commitment to New York Roadrunners youth initiatives. These programs are essential to fostering a better, healthier future for children. Your support energizes these vital programs and truly makes a difference. To contribute, click the link in the description or scan the QR code that's on the screen. Every donation helps sustain these fantastic programs. And as always, if you'd like to see more of my training, please hit that like and subscribe button. I'm trying to post once a week, and I've been having a blast so far what I've been doing. Thank you again everyone for watching, and thank you again for supporting me. So we'll go back to the video. I heard about the Collyer Brothers Park originally from my mom. So she was on YouTube one day and she was just looking up kind of like spookier stories, kind of like ghost tales and other like creepy things that happened around the world. And she ran across this video about the Collyer brothers and their house here in New York. And since I live in New York, she was wondering if I'd ever been there or if I ever heard anything about this park. And no, I hadn't. So she sent me the video, and it's kind of a crazy story, and I don't think too many people, even New Yorkers, know about it. So my mom kept on reminding me and like kind of encouraging me to go run up to go check out this park. So to honor her, and since it was Mother's Day this past weekend, I figured I'd just go do it and go run up there and check out the park for myself. I also wanted to give a quick like breakdown of the story, since like I said, a lot of people don't know about it. But it's going to be really quickly summarized, and I really think there's a lot more other videos out there that talk about more details about the story. So this is just like a warm up for you guys to go check it out yourself. So the story begins with the two brothers, Homer and Langley Collyer, being born in New York City in the 1980s. They were born to a rather rich family, and they themselves were pretty well off. Homer was a lawyer, and Langley was an engineer, I believe. So even though the two brothers were born into kind of like the higher class in New York, they themselves were never like very social people. This became even more a problem after their parents' death, and they both became like really, really reclusive people and kind of shut-ins and just hardly ever went out. That continued for years, and eventually, like, the public stopped seeing the brothers together completely, and they only saw one brother every now and then, as he like went down to the stores around his neighborhood and kept on buying like just bags and bags of oranges. I guess you have to have your vitamin C, right? Anyway, one night the police got a call from like someone anonymously on like a payphone that they were smelling something really, really bad coming from that house, and that they suspected that it was a dead body in that house rotting away. And the police have kind of had like a long history with these two brothers being shut-ins. Different disputes with like the electric companies and just like other neighbors and stuff like that. And so the police had like a long history dealing with these brothers, and knew that it was really kind of hard to get a hold of them, hard to get entry into the house. They almost let no one in. So the police, getting this tip about this like rotting body, definitely went to go check it out. So when the police get there, they knock on the door, and neither one of the brothers is opening the door. So they kind of just have to like break down the door and see what's going on. But when they break down the door, what they find is just like wall to wall of just garbage and filth and just like stuff that like the two brothers have been just hoarding for years. I mean, like the door itself is like completely barricaded with just junk, and they can't even get in. The police end up just like throwing like just tons of garbage out from the street as they're trying to gain entrance into this house. And also what they found out very strangely in this house is that like it's just rigged with a whole bunch of like booby traps and just like things that like are dangerous to like prevent intruders from coming to this house. Like things like, bookcases and stuff would fall on them, if you hit this like tripwire and stuff like that. Just kind of all crazy stuff. Eventually, after the police, kind of just kept on throwing stuff out of this house to try to get inside of it and see what's going on, they eventually found one of the brothers dead. I believe it was Homer. He looks like he had just died of like malnutrition and just like heart disease. Nothing brutal about the way his death. But they couldn't actually find the other brother. So they kind of thought that one of the brothers had like killed him or something. Like they didn't know what was going on, so they wanted to get a hold of this other brother. Eventually, like 2 weeks after they found the first brother, Homer, they found the second brother, Langley. And what it turned out is Langley had actually fallen victim to one of his own traps that he'd set for intruders, and actually just like got suffocated by one of the traps, and it was just been dead there for like who knows how long. But they were just cleaning out this house for like 2 weeks before they even found him. So the whole time they were like looking for him, he was actually just dead in his own house, which is crazy. But anyway, yeah, so that's like the story of the house. Again, go look up videos for more detailed stories. But eventually they knocked down that building, and they built this little park right here in Harlem. And it's not a very big park. It has just a couple benches, named after the brothers. But I now can check it off my bucket list that I've seen this park. I didn't get to go in; it was locked. But it was great. Well, that'll be it for the video this week, everyone. Thank you again so much for watching, liking, subscribing, sharing, anything you did, any way you interact with this video. Thank you so much. It really means so much to me. Again, I want to shout out the organizations, NYRR and their Team for Kids initiatives. Please, if you haven't gotten a chance to check them out, please do. They're pretty amazing people. But yeah, again, lastly, I want to shout out my other socials. Macho Marathon Man. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, of course here on YouTube. Yeah, please check me out. Look it up. Thanks, everyone. Bye.